Mike Attic.
Hey, Mike.
You know, I remember reading that one of the first times, and he said if the guy failed to to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life, and it's like, wow, man. I don't even feel like I have a spiritual life, and they start off with the word perfect. I'm in big trouble. But the truth and the lesson lies in understanding that word. I obviously didn't understand it, and I had not gone to law school yet. And what I learned was the guy that wrote it was a night school lawyer, and the word perfect is from law school, and it means you got to establish. To perfect means to establish something. It comes from Article 9, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. There's one person in here that knows what I'm talking about in regards to that. But the word perfect does not mean perfect. It means perfect, meaning I've got to establish some form of spiritual life. And what that means to me early on is it means it needs to be real simple. And the way it was described to me early on, simply, when I go to bed at night, I say, thank God for keeping me sober. And when I wake up in the morning, I think, God help keep me sober. Something real simple. That is a spiritual life, by the way. That is a perfected spiritual life because you're establishing it and you're moving forward with it. It's not perfect. It will be enlarged upon, hopefully. But that word perfect is not perfect. It could be very flawed and very simple, like what I just described. Because my mom would always say these fancy prayers. Surely what I just described is not perfect, but is certainly perfected because it's created. I have to start somewhere. And it's better to start simply. And I can tell you right now that unless I begin that process, like it goes on to say, that I'm not going to make it through the certain, didn't say maybe, trials and low spots ahead. It says certain. That means life is still going to show up even though I get off the dope, off the alcohol, off whatever the hell brought me in here. Everybody is different these days. There's a million things you could get high on. A dude just got booted for doing air dusters. That's the thing that you blow your computer off. Evidently, you can blow that air in your mouth and get high. I'm not fixing to go try that dumb shit. But that fool like to blow air in his mouth. I don't even know how you do it, but whatever. Everybody to each his own, right? But the point is this. Once I get off that stuff, if I want to stay off of it, I got to realize and have somebody tell me, look, I need some tools at my disposal. Another book calls them spiritual armor, because life is going to throw spears at me. Life is going to throw challenges at me. And unless I'm prepared with a set of principles or some steps or some phone numbers from some folks in the program that I can call during a challenging time. He says certain trials and low spots. Here's that word trial. Oh my God, that's the word we hated to hear. That's a legal term, isn't it? He's going to trial. There's a judge and jury, And I come in here feeling totally guilty. And I'm here to tell you that because of the program, I've learned to live a certain way. You know what? I don't feel so guilty anymore. I don't feel so, if I got what I deserved, I'd be dead. I feel a little more deserving of good things to happen in my life. Not that life doesn't still show up now. Don't get me wrong and don't get it twisted. What that phrase is saying and it's talking about is that I need to establish a spiritual contact, however simple, knowing that I'm going to have to go to that in the good times so I can pay my insurance premium so it can come to my aid when a challenge comes up. Now, we all know insurance. We all know we go pay insurance on that car. Man, I hate cutting that check. What do they want money for? There ain't a scratch on my car. But in the wet-ass hour, when I've had a wreck and it's raining, and I call the 1-800 number, I want to be in what? Somebody help me. What is this? Fucking good hands. Thank you very much. So if I don't pay my insurance premiums, he's not going to come to my aid. Because I was using him as a Bush League pinch hitter when I was out there. I'd make promises, get me out of this one, God, and I'll be a good boy. And what happened when I get out of it? I'd be like, hey, Big G, we going to holler. I got this little bit. But see, I got to change the way I was operating. because I came in here feeling guilty because I was treating God like a fucking asshole. If people would treat me the way I treated God when I got here, I wouldn't want to have nothing to do with them. And that's what I felt God didn't want to have nothing to do with me. That's why it really helped me for somebody to explain. We can start this real simple, Mike. And this common sense approach that we have here is twofold. I got a God that's going to forgive me for what I've done, but He expects me to live differently. Because on that very page that he just read off of, faith without works is dead. What that means is I can pray all day long, but if I'm not putting my feet to those prayers, if I'm not trying to live differently, I'm not sure God is going to bless some bullshit. If I'm coming in here singing like a mockingbird how spiritual I am, and I'm going robbing a store down the street. So the real trick here is bringing out there what we sing in here. Because see, I've got 23 other hours of the day I've got to live. This is just 1 hour. And sometimes it's easy to talk good stuff in here, but the real challenge is when the certain trials and low spots show up. What do I do when nobody else is watching? When the only thing that's watching is my conscience. When I could lie to everybody around me, but see, I can't fool y'all for long because y'all are smart. I can't pull the wool all over y'all's eyes. I got to live this thing, and I want to stay here. And when I got here, it was because of threats. That made me come in here. I'm going to take this away. I'm going to lock you up. She's going to leave me. All these things. You understand what I'm talking about if you're new. But I'm here to promise you that if you work the steps for a while, those threats go away and life gets better. Now here's the real question. Do I keep coming back after the threats have gone? That's when I'm really paying that insurance. When I keep coming here, praying those simple prayers to God after I don't have to anymore. Yeah, that's when it comes to my aid in the challenges. And the challenges are very few and far between, but they do come. Sometimes big ones. And somebody in here tonight will share with you about how they've been through big things, a fraction of which would have gotten me drunk. I just wanted to share that. I know there's a lot of new faces in here. So I wanted to explain the perfect word. It's not perfect, it's perfect. And I can start simple. But I've got to do my part. Faith without works is dead. Because the certain trials and low spots are coming. I'll pass.